I'm going to switch off. I'm going to stop sharing. This week is the member spotlight session. So I'm going to stop sharing and you get to see us. There we go, everybody. Hello. Lovely to see you.
And now let's bring in our guests. So bring in our guests for today. Come on in.
Come on in, guests. Lovely to see you. Woo!
Hey.
Whoop, whoop.
Hi, everyone.
Good morning. Good morning. So we've got Katrine, we've got Tony, and we've got Wendy. So good morning, everybody. Lovely to see you. What we'll do is we'll just get you to introduce yourselves and your business as a starting point. So we'll start with Wendy first. Wendy?
Okay, good morning, everybody, and delighted to be here. So my name's Wendy. Many of you know me from W. Smith Admin Services, and we basically do what's on the packet, admin services for small to medium-sized companies, anything from managing CRM, marketing, research, day-to-day admin, HR assistance, health and safety support, you name it, we will do it. So that's what we do.
Brilliant. Oh, thank you, Wendy. Right, can we go over to Tony? Tony, you're a new member, so yeah, take it away.
Yeah, Louise, thank you very much, and welcome everybody for having not met you all before. My name's Tony Ashbolt. I'm originally trained as a financial advisor in Guildford back in 1986. I'm still a financial advisor, but I have a business, Connaught Corporate Solutions, and we specialise in high-level tax planning. Now, most people have a view on whether they think they should pay every pound of tax on everything that they earn, or they want to save every pound of tax. So you're either going to love me or hate me. I also do what we call estate planning. I've yet to see anybody's estate planning where their affairs are in the correct order. There's nothing that ever can't be improved, because it doesn't matter how much you make in life, it's what you keep that's important, it's what you pass to your next generation. So thank you very much for having me on here this morning.
Brilliant. Thank you, Tony, and welcome. Really good. Katrine, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Hi, I'm Katrine. I can't see everyone, which is really bizarre. So hi to everyone I know. And for those who don't know me, I've got a company called Rain Hat Collection. So I'm sort of known as the Rain Hat Lady. I sell British-made, waterproof, stylish rain hats. So I have about 5 milliners that I get my hats from. And I mainly sell online. I go to a few shows, but it is mainly an online business.
Brilliant, thank you, and welcome to everybody. So today is very informal, so if anybody has got any questions or anything, put them in the chat. We'll put them to our panelists. It's very informal. Interject if you want to, but it's just to basically get to know you, get to know your business, get to know how you think in your business, and share some of your ideas, because it's all about learning and sharing and collaborating. So I'm going to ask questions in turn. Stu and I will mix the questions up. So he'll ask some, I'll ask some. If there's something extra you want to say, just give us a wave and we'll bounce it around. So my first question to you all is going to be, why did you choose the industry or sector or niche that you did? And I'm going to start with you, Katrine, if you could answer that, please.
Okay, well, to cut a very long story short, my father-in-law retired, got bored, started a business called Rain Mac. Sadly, he got ill, so I stepped in to help. Then, sadly, he passed away. We decided to sell the business. And then I thought, what can I do? And one of the things that I had sourced during my time there was British-made rain hats. So I thought, do you know what? This is a little business that I could start pretty risk-free, which I quite like the fact that you could go into something and I could get the feel of it. I didn't have to remortgage the house or anything like that in order to start the business. So for me, it was quite an easy entry into a business. And that's how I got into it. Not something I dreamt about as a little girl.
So did you use your contacts, etc., that you used in the previous business? Is that so?
I did.
You piggybanked on the back of that. Okay.
Absolutely. So I already knew a few milliners, and so I contacted them and I said, would you supply me? I was very surprised and encouraged because I contacted Olney, who's a big milliner, hat makers, who I didn't have any previous contact with, said, you know, I was just starting a business, and surprisingly they sent me a sales rep who sat in my kitchen with a whole load of hats, and that's how we got started. So it was encouraging all the way, and yes, so that's how it started.
Brilliant. And how long ago was that?
It's coming up to about 3.5 years now.
Good.
So
Brilliant.
yeah, so, and it's growing year by year. Yeah.
Fantastic. Oh, what about you, Tony? How did you choose your industry? How did you fall into it?
Well, it kind of I fell into it really by accident. Having left school, I went to train to become an accountant with what was Cornhill then, in Cornhill Insurance in Guildford and in the city. And to be fair, I was bored out of my brains. And I don't know whether everybody remembers when insurance companies used to come to your house to collect premiums from your parents. My mum and dad had the Pru. The Prudential used to come once a week to click up to Bob or whatever it was. And just, I remember one day the agent said to me, "What do you do?" I said, "I'm trained to become an accountant." He said, "You'd be really good at this. Do you want to come and get an interview?" I said, "What?" He said, "To be an agent." I said, "What, collect money?" He said, "Oh no, it's much more than that. You get loads of time off and the money's excellent." 20 years of age, to hear that you can have loads of time off and earn a lot more money was music to my ears. So I went for the interview. That was back in 1985, and I'm still doing the same thing, although it's changed.
Wow.
The thing is, I love what I do. I found out I was good at it, and the accountancy has gone because that was the most boring thing I'd ever done. Although I work with accountants all the time, it wasn't for me. I'm a people person.
Yeah.
So it was by chance, and it was one of the best things that guy ever said to me.
Amazing. Well, Sarah Bass has just commented actually saying her dad worked for the Pru for 20 years.
Yeah, fantastic.
So yeah. It's amazing how you just fall into things sometimes, isn't it? And what makes you, it could have been anything, I suppose, but any industry, you know, it could have been, you're going to have time off and you're going to make some money. Perfect. Yes. That works for me. So,
exactly.
Yeah. Brilliant. Oh, thank you. What about you, Wendy?
Okay, well, I left school and went to work for Hitachi and to train to be an accountant. And I very quickly realised that I wasn't a person that wanted to be in the back office. I wanted to be a bit like Tony just said, I wanted to be out there. So I switched and became a trainee PA. I did day release at Pitman's in London and sort of got my admin experience, if you like, and that is what I've done all my life, working for companies like Hitachi, PricewaterhouseCoopers. And then I kind of had a moment where I really desperately needed a break. So I took an 8-year break and I retrained as a canine nutritionist and bought a franchise business called Trophy Pet Foods, which we did for 8 years, and I made my money from selling dog food, and I loved every moment of it because it was so entirely different to what I spent my whole life doing. But of course the market changed, everyone was then selling dog food, every vet, and so I decided to go back to what I'd always done, but doing it for myself, because I'd run companies for people, and I'd been on, they were off on their holidays and I was there 12 hours a day running their office, and I thought, I could do this for myself. So that's how I've ended up back doing what I do now. Love it as much, but I really enjoyed that 7-8 year little, I call it my little break, and it was the right thing to do actually, because I came back to doing what I'd always done, had to upskill a little bit, but with a fresh approach and a fresh, it's different when you run your own business and you're doing it for yourself. And what Trophy showed me was that I could do it, I could run my own business, and up to then I hadn't believed that I could. So
brilliant. It's that true entrepreneurial spirit, isn't it? Knowing that you can do it, and like, actually I can do it myself, and really make something of it. So yeah,
where I went to school, we weren't encouraged, we weren't to be, it's comprehensive in near London, and we weren't trained or taught to be the boss. We were taught to be the worker. We were never given that encouragement to go out there and really kind of go for it. So it sort of came a bit later on in life, really, the bravery. Yeah. So
better late than never is what we say.
Absolutely, never too late. Never too late to start. Yeah.
Oh, brilliant. Well, thank you everybody for answering that. We're going to go on to the next question now, which is.
I would like to know And I love people's backstories. Whenever I go on holiday, I end up chatting to somebody, and Jem, my wife, comes over and is like, what, you know, and I was like, it's fascinating. This person is doing this, and they're like, and it's a completely different thing. So I would like to know, what one piece of advice do you wish you had been given before you had started your business? Is there some nugget that you think to yourself, if I had only known that? And we'll start with Tony.
Take more risks.
Oh.
What I mean by that is, most people in business are scared. You're scared to cold call. You're scared to invest in advertising. You're scared to set a webinar up. You're scared to employ as PA. And my advice is, don't be scared. Invest in yourself and invest in everything that you can in your business. Because I've been scared plenty of times, but you get to overcome that, and you make sure you get out of your comfort zone every day. That would be. It's really
interesting. Yeah, it's really interesting you say that, actually, Tony, because I was talking about that this week in the lives that I did. In this period that we've just had now, I've overcome a lot of fears that I've always had of various either technology or bits and pieces. But you've just been plunged into this, and you've just got to do it. So yeah, great piece of advice, actually. Don't be scared, because you can do it. Absolutely. Yeah, really good.
So, Katrine, same question to you. What do you wish you'd known, or piece of advice you've been given before you started?
For me, I think, well, it's a learning process that I've worked out, is that you can't do it on your own. So although I thought, oh, this is a little business just for me, in actual fact, I couldn't have done it without my son, who helped me set up my website, my husband, who helps me a bit with the accounts, the hub. Since joining the hub, realizing that you're constantly learning. So to think that I could have just, you know, been me in my garage selling some hats, it doesn't quite work like that. It's a constant learning process, and you pick up so much from so many people around you. So I think that's really, really important. And I hadn't quite appreciated how much this was going to expand my world, I suppose. So from that point of view, it's been really fabulous. Yeah, and interesting.
Yes, sometimes not knowing, to sort of couple yours and Tony's comments together, not knowing about something means you can't be fearful of it, so you go and do it anyway. And then you suddenly discover all these component bits, and then you go, oh well, it's not too bad because I've got that person helping me there and that person helping me there. So that's a really interesting take on it, definitely. Wendy, what about you? What do you wish you'd known before you started?
Well, I think for me, it's a little bit like Tony said, you have to be brave. You have to get your head around your finances. So whether that's get a good accountant, or in my case, I do QuickBooks. But I think as well, you have to get over yourself a little bit. You can't spend, if you have a meeting, you can't then analyze it afterwards, or I wish I'd said this, I wish I'd done that. You've just got to give your best at that time and hope it was good enough, and not beat yourself up afterwards that, oh, I wish I'd mentioned that, or I should have said I can do this, because actually I believe people buy people as well. So people buy people as well. So I'd sort of say, just get over yourself a bit. If you're running your own business, you have to just take each day as it comes and move on, and don't beat yourself up. And I certainly spent some time doing that in the beginning, and that was a learn for me. Just be brave, get out there, and just and a bit like Tony said, take some risks, because you know what? What's the worst that can happen? What's the real worst that can happen? And that's what I kind of take with me each day, really. How bad can it be?
Yeah, be brave. Take those brave pills and just get on and do it. Absolutely.
One of our guest speakers recently said something which really stuck with me, actually. He said, nobody ever makes a bad decision. You make the best decision that you can at the time. You don't go out to make a bad decision. You make the best one you can. It could be bad, but you don't know that when you're making it. So it's true. Just get on and do it.
It's so relevant at the moment, isn't it? You know,
yeah, it definitely is. Yeah, it definitely is. Sarah said, Katrine, she loves seeing your new images of your hat.
Oh, thank you, Sarah. Thank you. I'm trying my best without models and whatever. But yeah.
Brilliant. So the next question I've got is relating to your industry, and you're all in completely different industries. So it'd be really interesting to hear what piece of advice you would give to somebody starting out in your industry. So Tony, can I put that one to you first?
Yeah, because I've made every mistake known to man and woman in my industry, from starting at the age of 20 when I was unconsciously incompetent. You know, you don't know what you don't know. My advice would be only work with people that want to work with you. Don't chase lost causes. I have driven hundreds of miles to see people who are not there, who are not interested. You can end up seeing people for people's sake. And with my team, we make sure that appointments are pre-qualified. We know why people are going, and we're not wasting time. So don't just be busy for busy's sake. Don't be sitting around, you know, sharpening your pencils, putting your CDs in alphabetical order and counting your paper clips. Do the things that are important, but make sure, for people in my world, make sure you're seeing qualified individuals, because your time is valuable.
Yeah, that is really good advice. Really, I like the pre-qualifying of appointments. I mean, you know, because you're on wild goose chases otherwise for a lot of the time.
Yeah.
I used to work for a chap who had a promotional marketing company doing promotional merchandise, and I was a freelancer and I'd go in a couple of days a week. And one of the things when he was on the phone, I used to overhear him. He was a great sales guy, like really confident, really enthusiastic, really upbeat. But one of the questions he always asked at the end was, if we can do this for you at the right price, on a scale of 1 to 10, what is the likelihood we get your business? And if it was anything more or anything less than an 8, he wouldn't bother. He'd just say to me, just cobble something together and send it to them as quickly as we can, just to show willing. But he completely took it off of his sales sheet. It wasn't even worth his time. He only went after really, really qualified leads. So it's a great comment, definitely.
Really good. What about you, Katrine? If somebody, what piece of advice would you give someone starting out in your industry?
I think being in retail, you have to have online presence. And I think now, since lockdown, it goes to show that you really do need retail presence online. I've already had a few shows cancelled in September. So I only do a few shows, luckily, so it's not the end of the world. But it did make me realise, thank goodness I have got a website and I can sell from it. And I guess, you know, with retail, we all know that more and more people are online shopping. But I think this pandemic has sort of accelerated that rate of change.
Yeah.
So,
did you, when you set out sort of 3.5 years ago, did you set out saying it's going to be an online business, or did you set out thinking it was going to be in a store?
no, always an online business.
Okay.
And I did do a few shows. I do a few shows, but only around Christmas time.
Right.
And the emphasis has always been online shows rather than going to exhibitions. So partly just because I think it's an easier way of selling and making money.
Yeah.
I do like getting out there and meeting people, so I think it's important to do that as well, but not
Right.
the main side of the business. So yeah, that would be my tip.
Brilliant. Thank you.
I started selling online back in 1994, and I knew I was hooked the moment I woke up in the morning and I had money in my PayPal account.
Yeah.
That had come in overnight from a sale on a website where I'd posted some information and a link to a product that somebody else fulfilled. I got a commission, and I was just like, what, I can get free money whilst I sleep? Yes, please. Where do I sign up? So
it was a bit like when eBay first started, wasn't it? You put a few things on, you were like literally watching it the whole time. Think, this is incredible. I'm sitting here earning money. Amazing. So yeah. What about you, Wendy? What piece of advice would you give to somebody starting in your industry?
In my industry, I would say don't wing it. You have to have the relevant experience. If you haven't got the background experience, your clients will know. They'll see through you. And the other thing I would say is always do your research, check out your competitors, see what they're doing, see what services they're offering, their rates, and then aim to be better than them. That's the best you can do. So and you know, there are some industries you go into, you can't make out you've got the experience if you haven't. You'll be you know, people will see through you, and you'll end up looking foolish. So and you know, always keep an eye on what your competitors are doing as well. Make sure that you're keeping up and you're coming in. If you're coming in for new business, you're coming in at the right level. And so yeah, so that would be my advice.
Is it worse if you get a new client, for example, in an industry that you don't know, and they ask you to do a project or a piece of work? I think it's always worse saying, I don't know this industry, but I can certainly investigate. There'll be a bit of research time added on, but I will learn about it. I think it's
often if and I'm always very honest, if I do have to do research time or learn a new software package, I don't charge for that, because the way I see that is, if I'm going to get that work and it's, you know, and it needs to be, yes, we're going to use you, then I will invest the time myself to learn their software or learn their industry, you know, do some research. And I do that at my cost, because I feel that they pay an hourly rate. That's my responsibility to actually, you know, find out about them. So I would never charge for that. So, which again,
though, that skill is transferable, so it just broadens your skill set anyway. So it makes sense to do that.
And there are some industries I wouldn't want to work with as well, actually, and I will be upfront about that, and just in a very nice way. But just, you know, yeah, there are just some industries which I won't discuss today, but I wouldn't feel comfortable working with them, and so I just sort of back away from that and say, and what I normally say is, I'm really sorry, I don't have the time to take that on at the moment. So, but I can refer you to somebody else, and I do that. I refer to other people in the industry. So.
One of the freelancers I work with, whenever I get him to do something, if he doesn't know how to do it, he stops the clock, goes and learns how to do it, and comes back. And when I discovered this really early on, I said to him, why are you stopping the clock? You're learning it to do what I'm asking you to do. And he said, yes, but I own the knowledge then. And that was a really interesting viewpoint, that if I stop the clock and I learn it, I then own it, rather than I've learned it for you, and therefore some way you own me to do it only for you. I really thought that was an interesting mindset. So that really dovetails in with what you've just said. So
I would never dream of charging a client for doing the research or learning their software. I just wouldn't, you know, it's my responsibility to be able to step in and do that.
Great.
Fabulous.
Thank you for that, Wendy.
Yes, thank you. So we've learned a lot about, you know, how you got into what you're doing, and some great pieces of advice there, some real nuggets. I've loved hearing them. We're going to move things on a little bit and come further along the timeline and come up to date. I would really like for you, and I'm going to go back to you, Wendy, describe a typical day in your business. Is there a typical day? What do you find yourself doing?
Well, pre-COVID, a typical day would be a day or half a day out at a client's, and then another day would be I try and sort of split it. So if I'm half day out the office, I've got half a day in the office, because where I have multiple clients and I work remotely for a lot of them, you know, I need to be in the office as well. So a typical day would be a sort of half a day away at a client, and then a half a day in the office doing other things. Obviously that's changed now. So a typical day now is I'm in my office sort of 9 through till about 4 or 5 o'clock. But yeah, so that's how it would have been. And I love those days. I like getting out to my clients, and you know, when you work on your own, it can get a bit lonely, Billy no mates. And so yeah, so you know, it's that balance, isn't it, really? But obviously I don't know if we'll go back to that. I think the way we're meeting now and working is going to be the new norm. So
yes, they're certainly talking in terms of months, and I've heard years.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. Yeah,
we just have to accept and move forward. And like I said, you know, entrepreneurs endlessly reinvent themselves and come up with great ideas. So, you know, if you're feeling downhearted and disappointed, go and get some new input. You know, stock the warehouse up, go and look at the competition, see what they're doing, and see if there's anything that you can adopt that you feel comfortable with. So that's
Yeah, I
Great
agree.
way of doing it.
I have spent a lot of time upskilling and learning, you know, new skills while we've been in this, because I feel we should be doing that all the time anyway. But, you know, constantly we should be upskilling and making sure. I've caught up on all my sort of industry reading, if you like, from the CIPD, and, you know, whereas you pile it up and you think I'll read that sometime, I've actually caught up with it, and that's felt really good as well. So I've got a spare tray now in my office.
Brilliant.
My grandfather was in his late 80s when he passed, but he was an absolute die-hard avid bowler, green bowling, and him and my nan, I've got a photograph of them surrounded by silverware, literally surrounded by silverware, and they were going to the Commonwealth, but my nan wouldn't fly, so they didn't represent Britain. But he was absolutely fanatical about getting on the green as much as he could, and reading about all the new bowlers coming into it and all of what the new techniques and everything was. And he said, if I don't keep up, I become irrelevant. So it's totally what you're saying.
Yes,
Absolutely crucial. So Katrine, what about you? What is there a typical day online? You know, tell us what a day for you is.
It's a bit haphazard. It really depends on the time of year as well.
Sorry, did you say haphazard or haphazard?
Very good.
I wish I had done, but you got it. You got there.
You
I'm
can
not
use
as
that
awake
going
as you
forward.
are.
We are,
That
yeah.
one.
It's, you know, it's so seasonal, but I will move on later on and to let you know what my latest project is. But for now, I'm obviously busier when the weather is well, when it's raining. But I will always check my Shopify account, and they give very good analytics. So obviously, see whether I've got orders. I can then just analyze what's being looked at, what's abandoned carts, and really it's just checking all that, checking emails from customers and milliners, and then packing and sending off the hats. And then, like Wendy, I'm always learning. So, you know, SEOs at the moment, I've been watching lots of YouTube videos on Pinterest. So there's always something to do. So it's just a matter of how pressing things are in terms of sales. That will be autumn and winter. Spring, summer, I definitely it's more just upskilling really. So yeah.
You mentioned the platform Shopify. I've got to say I've been using it for a few years now, and it's just got better and better. We're
Fabulous.
suggesting to clients now that don't use anything else for e-commerce, because it's so quick and easy to set up and customize and do what you need to do with it. So
yeah,
it's a great platform, a good choice.
Yeah, and then, you know, they have things like Shopify Academy. So literally, and that was, I have been pretty good at that, but ever since lockdown, I thought, right, I'm going to learn something every day, sort of thing. So I just watch a Shopify Academy, and just, it's there, it's easy, a quick 40 minutes, you know, what's there to lose really. So so yeah, that would be my typical day.
Fabulous, excellent. Tony, what is a typical day in your business?
Well, a typical day in my world is kind of the same every day because it's client facing, but I always make sure that I have a diary that's packed, because if you get white space in your diary, it's like dancing with the devil. Right? Because if you haven't got stuff to do, that's when you can go off track. So and that's why people who are unsuccessful in business don't have a full diary, and then that's when they start making mistakes. So I always get up. I'm an early riser, and I make sure I'm up 5:30, 6 o'clock every day, and I'm out. And I'll typically run 5 to 10k every day before breakfast. But while I'm out running, I've got my headphones on and I'm listening to something that is relevant to me. And I listen to loads of stuff all about personal development, whether it's about attitude, whether it's skill set, whether it's selling techniques. So I get everything on Audible. You know, get the app. If you haven't got the app, get it on your phone and listen to stuff. I'll then come back from my run and I'll write out my goals, because when I write my goals out every day, it just realigns my subconscious brain. Why am I doing this? Why am I a financial advisor? Why am I offering tax advice? Because at the end of the day, I want a good life for me. I want a good life for my partner. I want a good life for my children. And by doing that, by keeping a focus on what I actually do and why I'm doing it, it keeps me sane, keeps me interested. And then I'm always check in with I have a full-time PA, Emma, who is worth her weight in absolute gold. Both my children work in the business, and I have a sales team. So I check in with them, all of them first thing. I'll then do all my client meetings, can be 4 to 5 at the moment because we're digital now. It's easy. And then close of play 5:30. I get all my sales team on a Zoom call, and we go through what we've all done for the day, what's worked, what hasn't. And then before I go to bed at night, I write out what I'm going to do the next day so that I can clean my brain out and I can have a good night's sleep, not worrying about stuff. That's a typical day.
Wow.
Wow.
Really, really disciplined and really important stuff.
Really good.
Yeah.
I have to be disciplined, otherwise I go off piste.
I like the way, and I've started doing that as well, your last comment about writing things down at the end of the day for the next day.
Yeah.
So you're not mulling over it overnight or whatever. You just know you're going to come to your desk the following morning and you've got your
That's
list.
it, Katrine.
It's almost your to-do list sort of thing.
Yeah,
It
exactly.
just has a full stop at the end of the day,
Yeah.
and then you can begin fresh.
You know
the
that
next
expression people say, go and sleep on it, and you come up with the idea, and in the morning you wake up and you've got the solution to the problem. Because by writing it out, your subconscious brain goes to work for you. It's your slave. It doesn't know whether you're telling it the truth or not. You tell it what you want to fix, it'll find you the problem. It'll find you the solution. It'll find you the answer. That's why I do it.
Yeah, that is a good idea.
Really good idea. Really good. I mean, we go on to the next question, which is describe the ideal day in your business. Well, I want yours, Tony, to be fair. That's my ideal day, to be honest. You aspire to be like that, and it would be amazing to be that structured. I would love to be able to do that. But what is your ideal day, Katrine?
Oh, well, obviously I want to wake up and it's raining. One.
Yeah, not
That
the rest
is
of
honestly
us,
my best marketing tool is rain. If it's raining, I know I'm going to get lots of orders. So that would obviously be the best. I guess it's getting the testimonials. That's always so heartwarming and rewarding. And going to mini mastermind, I do find that really helpful because again it's inspiring, learning from different people. So yeah, I guess it's in business, I guess it's the sales and it's the positive feedback. That's what keeps you going, and that's the enjoyment of the business. Yeah.
Well,
absolutely.
Sarah says she's going to do a dance for you, a rain dance for you.
You noticed I did one early this morning, so we had a light bit of rain. I'm doing some more today. That's why we may possibly have more tomorrow.
What about you, Wendy? Can you describe an ideal day?
Well, obviously it's very different at the moment, so I'm going to do it as is now, which is not so different. But I mean, I love the days when I'm in my office, because I not in a similar way, but at the end of the day I always tidy my desk, and I'll always leave I have my week fairly mapped out, but I'll always have a note of what's the most urgent thing, and I'm a great believer in do the worst thing first. So if you've got a difficult client call to make or something uncomfortable, get it done first, and then the rest of the day is a doddle. So it will be after breakfast into the office and do that horrible thing if I've got something horrible to do. But really, I suppose for me, it's just working in my office on multiple client projects, and the reason for that is I've got no travel time, no travel expenses, and so it's a good profit day because it's all time going onto my timesheets. And at lunchtime I can go and sit in the garden, have a sandwich or something, you know, and peg the washing out, and but you're working, you know, and I'm quite a motivated. I don't need somebody cracking a whip to make me sit and really work, and I do quite long hours just because I'm enjoying what I do. But that would be an ideal day, sort of just these days that we're having at the moment, really. And I have quite a lot of client Zoom meetings, so they take quite a chunk of the day as well.
It's interesting that you say the travel. Now that we're not traveling so much, you just can fit so much more in.
Absolutely. Good time, isn't it? I mean, the days of driving an hour to for a 40-minute meeting. That's just not going to happen.
No.
I would do it, but if we're beyond that initial stage and we're now looking at the real nitty-gritty of planning, okay, what am I going to be doing for you? How's this going to work? And I need to maybe come into the office and meet the team. But just, you know, for I'm doing networking online, and you know, we just don't need to do that anymore, and it's quite nice. I feel like I've got a better work-life balance at the moment.
Definitely, yeah. And what about you, Tony? So you've described your day. Could it be any more ideal?
Well, yeah, I mean, I do, in my world, I live the dream for me, because I actually love what I do, and I have lots of interests outside of work, but I genuinely love what I do. And I think an ideal day for me is when I've made a difference. I've made a difference to my client's world.
Yeah.
Because of my sales team, when I take people on that are brand new to this industry, and I see them make their first sale, and I see them take on their first client because they've done what I've told them to do, that to me is fantastic.
Rewarding, isn't it, when that happens?
Massively. My son Harry, who runs all our advertising, and he does all the lead generation, when he comes to me and says, Dad, I've got 50 leads today for the sales team, qualified.
Wow.
He knows he's getting commissioned on all of those.
Yeah.
To me, puts a massive smile on my face. So it's making a difference for other people that makes me feel good. May sound a bit cheesy, but it's actually
no. Yeah, it's completely, there's nothing better than that feeling of the reward that you get when something like that happens. So
Wendy made a good point about doing the toughest things first. I'm a great reader of books. There's a book by a guy called Brian Tracy, you may not have heard of. He's massive in our industry. It's called Eat That Frog.
I've read it,
yeah. If you haven't read it, absolutely read it. That's great advice from Wendy.
Brilliant, yeah.
Absolutely, I second that. That's one of my things, is get the tough stuff out the way, and then you've got the rest of the day to enjoy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I agree.
So we're running a bit short of time, so I think we'll skip to the future questions, I think, Stu.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, absolutely. So, Katrine, what are some of your life goals?
Oh,
I know, a big question.
Yeah.
Big question.
Didn't quite know how to answer this. How deep do we want to go?
Oh, how deep as you want to go, Katrine. Tell us all.
Life goals. Well, I guess it's just to have a really good work lifestyle balance. So having work that you love, and that it's rewarding, and that it's making money, but with the balance of being able to enjoy your life and not be stressed out by work. So at the moment it seems to be fine. So I have got plans for the future which could make life busier work-wise, but yeah, no, that would be just getting the balance right.
Excellent. And what about you, Wendy? What are some of your life goals?
It's funny because I've always had struggled with this question, because for me a life goal is a bit like Katrine said, you know, to just have financial security for us and our family, and a bit like you, Katrine, we've got some really exciting future plans that we're sort of working on at the moment, and so I suppose in a way life goal is to bring family into the business, and that's what we're working on at the moment. My daughter-in-law stepping in, so life goals. Yeah, I suppose I'd like to travel a bit more and worry less, you know. But generally, I sort of actually feel like I'm living the dream a little bit at the moment, because I'm doing something I love doing. So your life goals kind of, I don't know, I've lost track of them really, because maybe I've achieved them. Maybe I'm here. This is it, you know, working for myself, enjoying what I'm doing. You know, some people would dream of that, wouldn't they? So.
Absolutely, yeah. Tony, what about yourself?
I'd echo Katrine and Wendy. You know, being able to do something that I love every day, because I see so many people who hate getting out of bed and going to work on a treadmill. And I'd say to those people, you're only here once. Life's not a dress rehearsal. Go and do what you want to do. Because if you don't like it, what a waste of a life. So I have some very, very clear, specific goals, and my life goals and business kind of overlap. because I see how poorly people do their financial planning, do their estate planning. My vision is to grow my company to 1,000 people, like 1,000 advisors covering the UK. That is massively challenging, okay? And I have a 5-year goal to do that. Once I've done it, I'm going to develop it, and then I'm going to sell it for £1 billion. That's my goal.
Fantastic.
Wow.
So clear and concise as well.
Nice and easy. 2 lines on a bit of page.
Yeah, exactly.
I overcomplicate
Well, it shouldn't be a long spiel. It should be succinct and to the point. Yeah, well done.
Yeah,
Definitely.
absolutely. Yeah, clarity like that is admirable. Absolutely. Fantastic. Well, thank you very much for our guests for coming today and telling us all about their businesses, their life, their goals, and sharing with us their knowledge, their skills and their experience. It's been fantastic to have a chat with you guys. Thank you so much for coming along.
That's been
Can I
lovely
just
to do.
interject? Katrine, you did hint on that you had some plans for the future.
Yes.
Yeah, so take it away.
Okay, so I keep being asked this question, and then I had a quarterly meeting with Emma. I have now started putting sun hats on my website.
Oh, exciting.
So just testing it, and of course you don't go to Rain Hat Collection for sun hats. So anyway, I bought domain names for Sun Hat Collection, so we will see how it goes and possibly run 2 sites, 2 businesses alongside each other. So it's going to be a difficult one to judge in a way, but anyway, that's more technical Q&A with Stuart and everyone else about how he sells sun hats at the moment on a Rain Hat Collection. But I have already had 1 sale, so I think it's really targeting loyal customers who have been asking for sun hats.
Really
so
good.
we will see. We're testing it and see how it goes.
Yes,
that's really good.
Before, definitely. Excellent. Oh, well done, Katrine. You know, that goes right back to what Tony was saying at the beginning. You know, kill that fear. Just do it anyway. Just get on with it. And
and I think
responses.
It makes a difference, doesn't it? Talking out loud with somebody. So you said from when you were talking with Emma, you know, sometimes by just talking to somebody and saying something out loud, it comes to fruition. So it's really important.
And someone questioning you, well, why aren't you? Why aren't you? Why aren't you? Sort of thing, you know.
We can get tunnel vision sometimes in our business, can't we? So it's really good to sort of open the blinkers sometimes. So that's really good. Well, really good.
And since pandemic, we've had the most amazing weather, so that was also a factor.
Exactly. And very quickly, Wendy, did you say you had something planned? Was that your daughter-in-law joining the business?
Yeah. So we're planning, and this is breaking news, really. But we are planning to bring our daughter-in-law into the business. And so she will work alongside me on the admin, which will free me up to be out with clients, because I can't be in 2 places. We're kind of looking at a whole sort of family business at the moment, and our ultimate goal, and I suppose it is a life goal, is to give our family something that they can carry on into the future with financial security. So that's what we're really working towards at the moment, and there's lots going on, and it's really I'm really excited about it, really excited. So
it is it's really good to have a tangible goal, isn't it? I think it's really important for everybody to have a tangible goal that you actually work towards.
It's been something that's been buzzing around my head for about a year and a half, because it's the entrepreneurial thing. I'm always sort of thinking about the next, you know, and it's been buzzing around, and now's the right time for all of us. And so that's what we're moving towards. So I probably need to do a mini mastermind to get some help on that. So
there's 5 spaces available on Friday afternoon.
I might well put myself. Oh, I've got my granddaughter. Okay, yeah, next one. All right.
Brilliant.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you
for coming along. Oh, we've got the dogs.
Not mine.
Let the dogs out.
Yeah.
Oh, another song.
Has gone crazy.
Thanks very much, Katrine. Thank you very much, Wendy, and thank you very much, Tony, for coming along today and sharing your time.
Thank you.
We
Pleasure for having us.
Please give a round of applause. I know we can't hear it, but
thank you. Well done.
Applause anyway. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the spotlight session, which is now ending. We will be going on to the workbook session that I mentioned, going back to basics. So what's changed? And we'll see you back here in 10 minutes. Don't forget the link that you will have been emailed for that session, because that is a meeting session where we can do breakout rooms, and we hope to see you there very, very soon. So 10 minutes, get yourself a drink, comfort break, and we'll see you back in 10 minutes. Goodbye. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Oh, hello, Suzanne. Loving
Hi,
your
Suzanne.
background. Loving your background. Hello, Red Roof Services.
Hello, Red Roof Services. Good morning, Emma. Morning, Sue.
Good morning, Sue.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
There we
Hello.
go.
There's Keith. Hello,
There's
Keith.
Keith.
And Claire. Hello, Claire.
Good morning, Claire. You're on mute, darling.
Are we there? Hello.
There you go.
Hello.
Good morning.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello. Good morning.
No, I'm a bit dark. I'm just going to turn myself around. Which way should I go? This way.
Who's Galaxy S9, Gareth?
I have no idea. We're just waiting for them to connect audio and camera.
Okay.
Let's do this.
Mystery person, reveal yourself. We want to get started.
Nice to see you all.
Yeah. Did you enjoy the first session, the first bit of the session?
Yeah, it was good.
The spotlight?
Yeah, very good.
Yeah.
Good?
Good.
That's
Yep.
excellent.
Good, good. You all right, Emma? Are you?
Yes, I'm
Yes.
just making sure the other Emma wasn't there.
Right, no,
Just fine.
just you at the moment, just you.
I zoned out for a moment there. I'm sorry.
It's Friday. We all know that feeling.
Yes, I'm very good, thank you.
Good, good, good. Come on, Galaxy S9. Who are
I'm
you?
on a Galaxy S9.
Mystery person.
Right. Has anybody else read that book, Eat That Frog, that Tony Ashbolt said? Has anybody else read that book?
No,
No.
I've heard of
Heard
it.
of it.
I haven't
Or
read it.
have you? I've not heard of it.
I've not heard of it.
The basic premise is, if you know you've got to eat a frog, then you should eat the frog first thing in the morning, then you have done it, rather than worrying about eating that frog all day and then doing it at the end of the day. You've got to do it anyway, so do it first thing.
I quite like frog.
Stop the procrastination.
Yeah.
And apparently if you pick the biggest, ugliest, horrid, nasty, toad-looking frog, it's even better because, yeah, it like she says, it just gets it out of the way.
It does give you an oomph for the rest of the day. I find that. I feel like I'm just going to start with that job that's really getting on my nerves because it's still on my list, and you do it and you feel so good that it almost like gets you into like, oh, let's get all things off the list. Gives you like that momentum, doesn't it?
Well, talking of on your live the other day, Claire, about all the guilt and everything, it's like, yeah, procrastination.
You know, just whatever you do, it's no right or wrong, is there? And you're doing your courses, Emma, so you're not completely procrastinating. It's fine.
No,
Hello, Shumi. Hello.
Hi,
Hi,
Shirley.
Hi, Shirley.
Hello.
Listen, guys, I'm going to be watching you and kneading bread, okay? Because it's got to that
Oh,
time.
medium bread. Right, okay.
But I'm following Whittington's sourdough thing, and I am following him to the letter. So I must now talk to you and do my kneading. It's been all go. It's been child homeschooling. It's been everything all in one go. So I'm multitasking at the moment. So
Perfect.
that's fantastic.
Excellent.
right. So
Right.
Oh, there's Dave.
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 Dave. Hello.
Hi, Dave.
Hi there, Dave.
when you break me into the room, I won't be able to do the actual writing of the worksheets. I'll talk it through with you because obviously I'll be doing this. Okay. So
Okay.
As long as the kneading isn't too loud. Hello, Graham.
Ah, Graham, hello.
Oh, hi, Graham.
Thanks, Wendy.
Oh,
Thank you.
whew,
We still don't know.
Yeah.
what Galaxy S9
must
is.
be all of this blossom.
Don't
Good.
encourage him. Don't encourage him, guys. Don't laugh at that.
Oh, hi, Liz.
Hello, Liz.
Hi,
Morning.
And Wendy. Wendy's
Wendy's joined us. Brilliant.
I
Thanks,
don't know
Gareth.
I don't know who the
missed-
mystery Galaxy S9 is, but they're there. They're lurking.
I missed the second link. Sorry, Gareth. Thank
That's
you.
all right.
Right. Shall we get going, Stu?
Should we get going? Definitely. So, when we were discussing what we were going to be doing in this session, we were looking back at all of the stuff that we've been doing up to and including lockdown, and thinking in terms of, so what's changed? Just literally that question. So what has changed? So we're living in a COVID-19 or a post-COVID-19 world, and we have a new normal, and the business landscape has changed, or has it? So that's what this session is about. It's about exploring how you keep your customers, how you keep your business relevant to your current customers, how to find new customers, and thinking about what has actually changed and what that means for each business. Is it the same for every business, or is it different for every business? And how do you overcome the current challenges that you may be facing? So we're going to review how the rules of business remain constant, and how going back to basics can help remove some of the confusion, doubt and fear surrounding business, how to grow your business, and how to continue to trade in the new marketplace we all find ourselves in. So if you have any questions, don't forget to raise them. Don't forget to put them to us in the rooms. We're here to help and to answer and direct resources at you. And anything that we suggest or mention, I've got my trusty notepad open. I will make a note of it, and I will make sure that we follow up with you for that. So without further ado, we have five things that we're going to be talking about, and we're going to start with the question, so what's changed? So we'll go through it, and then we'll go into our breakout rooms, and then we'll discuss each topic there, then come back and then hear from each different room, you know, what the discussion centered around, any thoughts, any breakthrough moments, any nuggets that you want to share. So post-COVID-19 world, we've got social distancing, cleaning and personal hygiene, safety of customers for face-to-face activities, possibly cashless transactions. Retail is effectively closed, although some of it has opened up recently. We've got use of new technology like Zoom meetings and other digital media, and financial fears, health fears, security fears, fear. There is a lot of fear around. So we're entering a period where people are becoming more accustomed to this new normal, but there still may be an element of fear. But is there also an element of boredom? Are people getting bored with what's going on? Are they actually actively seeking new things to enlighten, enliven and enrich their lives in this new normal? And how can your business offer something for people who are looking for new stuff? Slightly pivoting, slightly changing. So what I'd like to do in this first breakout session is have you think about, what do you need to do to adapt to this new world? What does your business need to do to find new customers and to bring them in and make them realize that in this post-COVID-19 world, you're the ideal person to deliver what you deliver? Okay, so if we can go into breakout rooms and discuss that and make any notes, and we'll share them with the room when we come back in 10 minutes. In 10 minutes, people. Well, that cut us off in mid-flow. We still had seconds. The countdown was still counting down. Louise, you're muted. Louise, you're muted.
Sorry.
I see you very animated there. We were in the middle of a discussion there with Sarah, and we got cut off. I'm sorry we didn't get round to everyone.
I know.
But some great pointers. Do you want to share with us anything that you was shared in your group?
Yeah, we talked quite in length actually about the PPE with Dave having the cleaning company. So yeah, that's, you know, really at the foreground, really, the PPE and the protection of people in businesses. But one thing that we did talk about, which I've not really thought about until Liz mentioned, in their business, they're going to obviously restrict people going into retail. And how is that going to look on our, you know, in our towns? People queuing outside certain retail outlets. How's that actually going to look? And is the length of the queue going to determine how good and how busy and how great your business is? Because it's not something that we've ever had to sort of, you know, think about before. Katrine said it's a bit like an exhibition. When one of the stands is really busy, you're like, oh, what's going on there? You know, and you want to get in and have a look. So is that going to be the new sort of, I don't know, indicator of your
That's something nightclubs have known for years. You know, get yourself a queue outside and you'll be round inside. So absolutely. Emma came up with a really good point, that now there is a great opportunity to become more advisory in your industry and be a leader or an oracle for information. Now, for her, that's you know, pointing out the cowboys in her industry and the chancers, the people coming in and just, you know, taking the opportunity and trying to make some money. So she is really sort of setting out her stall as a leader and the person to go to for great advice, and that's an opportunity for many businesses. Suzanne had a fantastic insight about developing new ways to deliver, that online is not the same as face-to-face, so adapting for that new technology is crucial. But there's more flexibility in the learning opportunity. Rather than being a whole day, it can be delivered in shorter bursts, and she doesn't have to spend all that time traveling. So that's a big positive. Sarah really hit on the nail on the head, that developing trust is going to be much more difficult when you're doing it through a screen over the internet. But new patterns are emerging. New ways of divining that trust are emerging. So that's an interesting development, that how quickly we are adapting to this new normal in this new post-COVID-19 world. So is there anybody else who's got any other?
You're on mute, Stu.
Sorry, anybody else got any other insights that they wish to share with us? No, okay, fabulous. Right, so we're going to move on to the second step, which is going back to basics. So I was always told that when things start getting difficult and complicated, training as an engineer is to go back and look at the basics. Okay, because if the basics are all in place and all stable and all right, then you can start to look, if you're diagnosing a problem, then you know your basics are done and the problem can be in one of several areas. So don't just assume the basics are all right, because that could be where the problem stems from. So it's a little diagnostic subroutine that you run through. Check your basics. Are they all right? Are they working as they should do? Okay, they all are. So where does the problem lie? So it can seem complicated at the moment. And when business seems complicated, I always go back to basics. Do I have the simple things? Are they running well? Are they well oiled? Are they moving in the right direction? Or have I complicated things and made things a mess, and I need to pick it apart and make it more simplistic? So we said in Jumpstart January, if you came along this year, we said, if you change your actions, you change your results and you grow your business. So what actions do you need to change to grow your business, given that we know what we know has changed? So if you do what you've always done, you get what you've always got. And in a post-COVID-19 world, that means you might no longer be relevant to your target audience. The marketplace has moved. It doesn't have to be COVID-19 for the marketplace to move. It can be any number of disruptors that come into your industry. There are many things that have happened in many industries over the past 5 to 10 years that have disturbed, disrupted, and obliterated. I mean, Kodak, how would they have ever thought that a phone would destroy the camera marketplace? But it did, because Nokia almost as an afterthought, stuck a camera on a phone. And the world has never been the same. So how do you adapt? So you've got to ask yourself, not what has changed for you, but what has changed for your customers. So start thinking about how the world has changed for your customers and going back to the basics of what they want. what is the world like for them, and what barriers to buying now may exist. So I'd like you to go back into a second breakout room and talk about your customers. What new problems do your customers have now, and how can your business help them overcome those problems? So it's very simple, thinking about your ideal customers, thinking about where they are right now, and helping them to overcome those problems could put you right in the forefront, in the firing line of some new business. So go away, have a chat about what your customers' world looks like and what problems they face, and we'll come back and we'll discuss that in 10 minutes. We'll see you back here in 10. Trust and communication. We had comments from Wendy saying that some of her clients may not survive this situation. And is that an opportunity for you to put people in front of them that can help them beyond, you know, just servicing their needs, actually actively collaborating with them to connect two disparate seeming businesses that can come together to provide a service to a new audience or to an existing audience. Online and interactive training materials and adapting your training materials to an online world is key. Wendy was talking about her upskilling during this time and taking on board the ability to put that out in the marketplace. How does she get that out there? Again, coming back, trust is the key. But Graham was saying that feeling he's out of the loop. However, going back to what Emma was saying originally, if you can be more of an advisor and be a leader and put your message out to your target audience and literally plant your flag and say, this is where we're at, can really get the attention of people in your industry. So now is a time to not be hiding and keeping your head down, but going out and saying, who is with me on this? Who else is feeling this way? And talking to your community. I think that's really important. Louise, what?
Yeah, I mean, we were very much along the same lines, really. Confidence, instilling confidence in people. We talked about risk assessments. People have been risk assessed for working from home. Yeah, Keith talked about that as well, in that a lot of people are now going to be working from home, where before it wasn't the norm, and now it may become, you know, more prominent that people are going to be doing that. Sarah raised a really good thing, actually, in relation to Sue's business. And we miss being pampered. We miss having that time to have a hot bath and just to chill out and have a glass of wine and have a hot bath and read your book, because our houses are full of people, because normally, you know, you get that gap sometimes. So yeah, she raised a really good point in relation to Sue's business, that perhaps she could do something that she sets it all up for somebody to go there and just relax there in the hot tub with some nibbles and a drink and maybe read a book and everything. I think that's a really good idea, Sue, to be honest. I think it's you know, an escapism in this time. You can't escape to the spa that you normally go to. If you belong to a gym and they've got a spa, you can't do that. That's not going to be open for, I would think, some considerable time. So there's no way that you can really go. So it may be that you do that one customer at a time. So I think it's that we're struggling with. There's no, I certainly feel it as well. There's no downtime to just chill out and relax and just go and do something relaxing. So it may be that that's something that you can offer. So yeah, really good suggestion there, Sarah. So again, it's just confidence, isn't it, for people to be able to want to use these facilities.
I think that confidence ties in really neatly with being able to go out there and say, this is how I'm feeling, how about anyone else? Because you're going to get people who disagree with you. And you've just got to kind of brush it off and say, well, everyone has an opinion and some of them are going to be opposite. But actually, there are going to be people who align with your thoughts and your opinions and will come on board and say, yeah, absolutely. I was mentioning one of our members, Andy Tree, as an accountant, is like really championing the small business owner, the small limited company business owners. And has built quite a profile in that industry and is growing his business actively. So it can be done. I saw Wendy raise your hand. Yeah.
One of the things I'm finding from talking, and I'm trying to sort of stay in contact with people, is that because we're doing all these Zoom meetings, you're kind of expected to be available all the time. and they're quite exhausting. I mean, I personally get to the end of the day and it's a different type of exhaustion. And I spoke to a colleague a little while ago, and she said, I actually had to take a few days off because I felt as if my brain was just being overwhelmed. And she said, yeah, I felt guilty because I'm at home working, so why can't I cope with it? She said, but you know, like now we're looking at a screen and we're looking at everybody, and it's I think it's just we're using a different part of our brain. And she said, I just felt like I was hitting a meltdown, and I felt really guilty about that. So we don't, you know, what you were saying earlier, we're not giving ourselves any time out, any time off. Can you do a Zoom at 3? Yes, of course I can, because they know you're at home, you're not going anywhere, so there's no sort of cut off, if you like. And I think we need to be a bit kinder to ourselves in a way, and maybe set some boundaries as well, if we're going to keep working in this way and protect our own health and our clients ultimately. I think it's something.
I agree with you.
I don't know.
I agree with you on that, Wendy, and I have to say it's very different working at home, because when you go out to work you feel like, well, I've been out to work, I've done that all day, I can now relax. But when you've been at home and you've been on, and sometimes I'm on Zoom calls all day.
Absolutely.
I don't stop, because I think, well, I'll just get that one done and I'll just do that. And you just, I don't know, you just keep going. It is exhausting, I have to say. It really is.
It's a type of exhaustion, isn't it? Yeah.
It's getting that balance, because you want to connect with people, you want to see people, you miss seeing people. So it's that getting that balance right. So yeah, we do need to take time out, I think. Well, we've got a bank holiday weekend, guys, 3 days. So let's all try and relax, hopefully. Don't you phone me, Gareth.
So moving forward, the workbook says consistency counts. As with all things, repeated right actions is what's going to grow your business. So one of the big challenges you're probably facing, as we have just spoken about, is working patterns. This has changed a lot. And as Wendy has highlighted, people know you're not going out. You can't say, oh, I'm doing something. What are you doing exactly? So good habits matter, and that consistency counts. And developing those boundaries and saying to people, I'm really sorry, these are my work hours, is something you should be setting in stone with all business relationships prior to COVID-19 anyway. You know, people know that if they email me, they are not necessarily going to get a response back, although it's been slightly different because we're currently, where else are you going to be other than sat in front of a computer probably. But even if it's just an hour a day working on your business and shutting the phones off and focusing on what you are doing, those right actions to grow your business, can really pay dividends. Wendy talked about doing some retraining there. Emma's talked about doing some retraining. Suzanne has talked about retraining and adapting to this new world. So just an hour a day can really build up quite quickly and develop your business skills. And pivoting and reinventing and changing your business plan should always be a consideration. Look at it every month. Am I doing the best in my industry the way that my customers want me to do it? Can I adapt or change? Is there something I can add on? Can I grow with what I am doing? And we've seen many members of the Signal community in the last months do exactly this. Hand sanitizer with Hogmore Distillery and the Rylands coming together and collaborating. Angie Brown working on training and business services from a really bad place to a really positive place where she sees the future mapped out as a growing concern. And Sue Griffiths with transitioning to the online world and selling through eBay and Amazon, and starting with a real kind of quandary of how am I going to sell all this stock, to restocking because she's sold out. So it is proof that there is a marketplace out there. You just got to go and find it. So this is after coming and finding these needs that are being identified. So what needs can your business identify that could fulfill your business requirements to grow, expand, earn, and take the necessary steps to pivot your business? So this one is a very, very simple question. It's going back to basics again, protecting your time. So you've got time to think about these really big strategic problems, which, you know, is where we want you to come to Mini Mastermind and say, I'm thinking about pivoting and this is what are the problems I face. So I want you to go away now in your breakout rooms and think about what you can do to protect your time around growing your business. Not the activities, but what barriers can you put in place to say, after, you know, 6 o'clock, I am out the office because I'm spending an hour at least, or I'm not in the office on a Friday afternoon. What are you putting in place? And I know that all of you here are doing that already because you're here. So what can you do every day to put in place that barrier to prevent that time leaching away to the crying babies, the ever-present emergencies, and all of those things? So I think we'll do a quick one now, 5 minutes. We'll just have a quick 5-minute chat around what you can do to protect your time. So I'll see you back here in 5 minutes.
I knew that was going to happen, Sarah. Okay, we have to start, sorry, this session. Sarah was building up to the story and I knew she was going to get cut off as soon as she got to it. So Sarah, go. Tell us the story. You heard. You're on mute. You're on mute. Of course you are. You're on mute.
Oh.
Sarah, there you are.
This businesswoman said that we're all planning to survive the next 2 or 3 months, which is fine. We can't do that. We have to be planning for success in 2021. We have to be thinking not just how we get through 3 months, but how we're going to go into 2021 with our business. Because if we have businesses, these aren't businesses that all tick along now. This is the time to really grab the horns and think, how am I going to grow my business in 2021? How's it going to go right, and onwards? So it's almost like we've got to work through this, but we've got to already be thinking about how we're going to grow our business.
Well, it's similar to what we said this morning in the spotlight. What's your ultimate goal? Have a long-term ultimate goal. So yeah, it's the same thing. Thank you for that, Sarah. Well, that was a good session. Goodness me. It was automated emails came up in ours. Don't check your emails after a certain time in the day. Yeah. Schedule times for people to book into your diary directly. And I think the best one of all for me is me time. That came from Dave. Is just put aside some time for yourself. I think it's really, really important. And I'm certainly going to take that on board. It's something that I don't do very often. So yeah. I think it's really important to do that. So yeah, thank you for everybody's input. What did you get, Stu?
Protecting your time is critical, and it can feel like overwhelm that you're available at all times. We discussed about having a booking system. I use a diary booking system. It's absolutely free. I've put it in the chat. I'll also put it in the members group. It connects with Google and it allows you to control your time. So you can put on time in your own diary, and it will block it out so that if anybody gets that link, your time is ring fenced. And I think that's really important. We didn't cover the final 2 points, so I'll just quickly whip through them because they are quite important. We talk about in Jumpstart January, you still need to stand out. So you still need to be able to stand out in this current situation. And again, it comes back to, can you be a leader? Can you put your opinions out there to your target audience and learn what's going on in their world and get that feedback? Are you actually picking up on the right kind of vibrations in your marketplace? Are you doing the right things to be still relevant to your audience? And what do you need to do to stand out? And go and do that market research. And the final point was going all the way back to basics. So what's changed? And actually, whilst quite a lot has changed, the rules of running a business are still the same. You still need to be relevant to your audience. You still need to stand out. You still need to do the basics really, really well. Ring fencing your time, protecting your own personal and business development, absolutely critical and crucial. And I'm hoping the thing that you take away today is that you are still running the same type of business with the same rules of the road. It's just the climate, the landscape has changed. The vehicle is still the same. And what do you need to do to adapt to that new landscape? And not just to get overwhelmed and go, it's all changed, it's all too much, I can't do it. And of course, we're always here for you. If there's a big thorny problem, come to Mastermind. If you are literally stuck with a question and you don't know who to speak to, there's Claire, there's Louise, there's myself, there's Emma, there's Gareth. We'd be more than happy to speak to you and find somebody who you can talk to get you unstuck and moving forward. So I'm hoping that you take away from this a positive, upbeat, going forward message rather than feeling stuck and baffled by it all, because not much has actually changed. People are still doing business, people still want services. You just might have to tweak, alter, stand out in a slightly different way, but you can still do business. Fantastic. What a wonderful session. Really a lot of great insights. I've written down some of those insights and I'll put them into the group because they really were actually very helpful for me as well to hear that kind of feedback. So thank you very much for joining in today. Don't forget that next week we've got the mini masterminds, we've got the morning session and we've got the afternoon session. As Louise pointed out, we've got is it 5 spaces, Louise?
5 spaces. So there's 5 spaces in the afternoon session available. The morning session is full. But again, can I just really stress, if you are booked on and you can't make it, please let us know, because we do have people on a waiting list waiting for the morning session. So let us know either way. It's no problem if you can't make it, even if it's the last minute, but let us know, because then we can get somebody else in on the space. But please, if you haven't booked on, come to the afternoon session. They're always really, really helpful, masterminds. So yeah, look forward to seeing you all there.
Absolutely. And don't forget that to keep up to date, go to our website, signalborden.org/newsflash. If there's something we haven't covered and you think we should be covering, please send it our way. It's the way we find out what our members, what our audience and what our community is discussing and wanting to hear, and how we stand out and stay relevant. So please do point anything out that is in your orbit that we haven't picked up on. We'd be more than happy to hear that from you. So that's it. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Yay.
Round of applause. Thank you very much for coming. And we look forward to interacting with you over the next few days, weeks, months. See you soon. Have a good week.
Go well, everyone. Have a lovely holiday weekend.
Yeah.
Bye. Sunshine.
Thanks.
Bye. 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 Oh, leave me to mute.